Hello and welcome back to another World Beyond video. So today we will be doing a review for The Walking Dead World Beyond Season 2 Episode 9, Death and the Dead. So this episode is broken into two parts. You have the plot A, which is the escape plan, and the plot B, which is Xylus and Elton trying to get meds for Dennis. So let's go straight to the plot A. And the plot A is actually pretty good. The best thing about plot A is that it has all the adult characters. You got a lot of Jadis, you got a lot of Huck, Leo, but Felix. I like Felix because he actually does something in this episode, because Felix is one of those characters that was really good in Season 1, but had nothing to do in Season 2. But Felix kind of is the sole lead, adult character to carry this episode, which I quite like, because we get a lot of Felix this episode. So, win on actually giving Felix something to do. This episode is actually really good at giving characters that do nothing normally stuff to do, because in the plot B, they give Elton something to do. They just pair Elton up with Xylus, because Xylus has his own story this entire season, and they go off and do something together. And Elton has a purpose to the season, which I quite like, that they're now giving these characters stuff to do, even though it's episode 9 and episode 10's next week and it's about to end, but they're finally giving characters stuff to do. But moving back to the overall plot of plot A, one thing I really like about plot A is that there's no stupid decisions. The actual escape plan seems plausible and makes sense. Then you have Jess on the other side. The villain is making no stupid decisions. Everything she does is smart. I quite like the start of this plot right at the start of the episode, and it makes sense. Then, okay, we're going to pretend to go down the thing, then we're going to blow everything up. Big brain. I like how there's lots of big brain energy going around for everyone in plot A. Even the kids are more or less big brain, and then you have brain dead Iris, who decides to shout at General Beale's son, because obviously General Beale's son will know what the CRM's whole plan is. I thought that was pretty stupid when, they couldn't find this. Let's go shout at General Beale's son, who obviously knows nothing, but we're going to pretend like he knows everything. I didn't like Iris this episode. Iris is very bad this episode. She had parts where I was like, okay, you acted okay, that would work on EastEnders. You were EastEnders level acting, but other than that, she was just annoying, and I didn't like Iris this episode. I'm pretty sure last episode she was better because she did nothing. She had more to do this episode, and it really put the episode down a bit. Moving on to the plot B, I really didn't care about the plot B. It made sense why the plot B happened. Dennis was injured, Xylus and Elton had to go get meds to help him. That makes sense, but I just didn't care. It did ruin the pacing a little, because you're interested in the plot A, because that's where Jadis is. That's where some of the characters you like is, like Jadis, Huck, Felix. They're the three main characters in this episode that you actually care about. But then you get plot B, which is Jess, Xylus and Elton just running around, somehow meeting no soldiers, and I really didn't care. It made sense why it was in the episode, but I really didn't care. It just kind of ruined the pacing, because it would go away from the bit you care about to these people just walking around looking for meds and then just killing walkers, and you're like, okay, well done. I didn't like it. I just like they gave Elton something to do. That's the one positive of this. It's just not very well acted, because Xylus is in it. I really don't like Xylus. He just can't act. But other than that, it's not very good. Also, going back to plot A, there is lots of the kids in this episode. It is very heavy. We've been lucky, and the previous episodes were very heavy on Jadis and Leo and Dr. Belshaw. But now that Dr. Belshaw's dead, Leo goes off halfway through this episode near the start and disappears, and it focuses quite a bit on Iris, Percy and Hope. They are quite a bit in this episode, and it really does annoy me. Felix is a lot in it, but you have one shining light in this darkness of annoying characters, basically. I really didn't like how often the kids were in it, and how much they were acting like they're so confident and tough. And all this terrible acting and plot B, which no one cared about, and focus on the kids in plot A, not Jadis, Felix and Leo, kind of ruins the pacing. The pacing wasn't very good this episode. It kind of dragged on, especially near the end of this episode. This episode is a very big slow burner. I was expecting the big stuff to happen, but nothing really happens until about the halfway mark. It's just them kind of talking over walkies, talking out their plan, a lot of talking, be like, okay, we're going to do this, this and this, and a lot of setting up. This is a very big setup episode. The whole point of this episode is to set up the season finale, and that means there's lots of talking, not much going on, the pacing's just very slow, and then the pacing speeds up near the end, and then the episode doesn't end. You're like, okay, wait. They've done a thing where they do on Fear, where they end the episode like 10 minutes before, so they can do 10 minutes of just pointless like stuff. And they did this episode. The episode ideally should have ended about half an hour in, maybe 34 minutes in, something like that. Because at that point, the big stuff happened. You get Jadis and the kids face to face. Iris, obviously, acts all tough, which is super annoying. It's just, I think it's the acting. It's not very good. It's not how Iris is written, it's just how the actor plays Iris, and it's so annoying. She always stands up to Jadis and shouts, and like, yeah. And Jadis there explains all the points why she's doing this. And her points are literally make sense. Portland and the colonies, okay, they rely on the serum too much, and it's going to lead to a mass famine. That's why I need to wipe everyone out, save a few people. That makes sense, okay? Needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. That's what they're going for. And it makes sense. And I was siding with Jadis at this point, because I was like, oh, it's genocide. Bruh, okay, I know it is, but would you rather everyone else dies, so everyone survives, so everyone lives a bit longer, but everyone dies? Or would you rather some people die in a mercy killing, okay, and some people survive? And, okay, I shouldn't be siding with the CRM, but I am. I really don't like Iris and them lot, because they just come off too cocky and confident. They come off like they're little kids, and they think they can stop all this, and just like, you're children, you don't understand the bigger picture. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm on Jadis' side. Like, you're meant to like see the whole plan of the CRM, you're meant to understand their really evil thing. But no, you're like, okay, I agree with her, okay. And that was just a massive failure. I really didn't like the first time they met, and the stupid Iris bit when she decided to stand up to Jadis. Right after this really bad scene with Iris standing up to Jadis is a really bad part of the episode, and it's the two big moments of the episode. The reason why I think it's so bad is both of these two big moments should have been their own thing. However, they were crammed together in the same like 5 minutes, and you can appreciate either one. Okay, the two big things is, spoilers, Jadis gets betrayed by Huck, and there's a big character death. I'm not going to say who dies, but there's a big character death. We were shown it in the trailer. Okay, and it's kind of annoying is that the character goes off, they die, you didn't even notice they die, because it flips all the way straight over to Jadis, like, kind of getting betrayed by Huck, and you focus on that, and then it kind of flips back, and you're like, oh wait, they're dead? And then it flips back over the Jadis, and you're like, it keeps flip-flopping, and you're like, okay, why can we not have one dramatic scene at a time? It's really nice. Like, the showrunners were like, okay, our characters cannot do this dramatic scene, we cannot have, like, Iris cry, because, you know, Iris can't act, or something like that. And then flips over the Jadis. I really didn't like how it just kept flip-flopping back to these two big moments of this episode when I feel like they should have been separated. I feel like we should have had the big character moment here, and then, because the episode carried on for another 10 minutes, just kind of a lot of filler, a lot of, like, nothing happened, a lot of crying. Not a lot really happened in the last 10 minutes. I couldn't remember what happened in the last 10 minutes, other than Huck runs away and meets Dennis. And that's all I can remember in the last 10 minutes. They should have put Huck betraying Jadis further back in the episode, so you had the main character death, you would focus on that. I didn't care about the main character death because it was handled so badly. It was just, bam, he's dead, flip off, we're gonna go somewhere else. It didn't like stay with the moment. It was just like, he's dead, we're gonna move on because we need to go finish this season. That's what I feel like. They kind of rushed the death, and because they rushed the death and they tried to do the betrayal at the same time, they rushed both and it ruined both of the moments. I feel like they should have been separated. But what is your opinion on these moments? I just feel like both of them were handled badly, and it kind of ruined the episode, because these are the two big parts of the episode and they were ruined. Now let's do my one sentence, that's one word overall review for this episode, and this episode is not very good. It's a disappointing episode. I'm going to call this disappointing. I expected a lot more in this episode, and it was 100% filler. Like, it was just like kind of 100% build up to the final episode. All the characters I really liked were kind of side characters. It focused a lot on the kids. The plots weren't very interesting. Like, I liked all the smart things with the escape attempt, but science and stuff I didn't care about, and drama had to happen. I really didn't like some of it. Jadis was sidelined, I think because I was spoiled with the past 4 episodes being very heavy on Jadis and the adult characters. Now focus on the children again, it kind of ruined it. The pacing was bad. The big moments of this episode, the whole point of this episode, were just not executed very well, but at the same time, they should have been separated. The pacing is bad because if that moment happens, the episode feels like it's going to end and just goes on for too long. I think that's kind of boring. This episode went on for too long. It wasn't very fun. It was just a bit boring. But what do you think of this episode? I would recommend watch it just because I feel like you have to watch it if you want to watch the last episode. But if you have like very little interest in the show and you kind of pop in and out, you don't care about the story, just don't watch it. If you care about the story, you have to watch it, sadly. But what do you think about this episode? Please tell me down below. I didn't like it too much, but what do you think? Someone might like it. I know some people really like World Beyond. Please tell me if you really like World Beyond. And if you want more content, look on the screen. I guarantee you'll find something else you like. And I'll talk to you later. So goodbye, peace out, see you later.